Let me turn that down and I'm going to check the audio real quick. Hold on 1 second, please. Audio sounds fine. Audio sounds fine. Look, I'm running by the seat of my pants. I am running on Ventura, the one that was released yesterday. So everything seems to be working. Ecamm Live's working. My audio, UAudio interface is working. One of the interesting things that happened yesterday when I went to update Ventura and everything got messed up. So that's another discussion that I can tell you about, but my fault, completely my fault. I walked away from the computer when I was downloading Ventura, and normally it stops at the screen. It says to continue or whatever, and you're supposed to quit it, and then you have the installer. I wasn't at the computer, and it's installed over top of my existing Monterey. So I had to reinstall Monterey on a separate partition, and I haven't got that up and running yet. But so far, Ventura is working for me. This is Ecamm Live right here, and it's working. Let me just show you. Let me just do this real quick. So this is Ecamm Live. Oh, let me see. I got to go over to my controller and switch Ecamm Live right here. Oh, there we go. Ecamm Live. Yeah, there we go. So this is it. This is, here we are. Look at all this orange everywhere. This is Ventura, and I'm running Ecamm Live. I'm running my audio interface, which is not officially supported, but it's working. And I'll tell you why it's working. So when I went to update yesterday, before I updated to Ventura, was it before? I don't remember. Maybe it was after Ventura. I saw the Final Cut Pro 10.6.5 update was out. Now let me think a second. No, I launched 10.6.4 in Ventura. 10.6.4 in Ventura. Got a comment from our friend Torgrim Grimstad. Good evening from Norway. Good evening, Torgrim. Glad you could make it. You're going to be in I'm doing a documentary on the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, and you're in it a couple times. So when that comes out, you should watch it. But anyway, so let me think. Let me get this straight. Oh, I updated to Ventura, and then I launched Final Cut Pro 10.6.4. And what had happened was 10.6.4 froze. Apparently it froze at the validating AU plugins screen. Let me pull that up here a second. This is the screen that I ran into when I was updating Final Cut Pro. When I just launched Final Cut Pro 10.6.4 in Ventura yesterday. Now, if you notice, it says validating audio units. Well, that screen froze there. Well, it appeared to freeze. Normally, it's instead of saying validating audio units, it shows you the different audio units it's validating. It has a video, an animation that shows you all the plugins that are validating, the AU plugins. But initially, 10.6.4 did not do that on Ventura. It just stuck at this screen validating audio units, even though it was indeed validating them. The screen froze like that, so you didn't have the normal animation. That was fixed in 10.6.5, which came out yesterday with Ventura. It was not noted anywhere. I didn't see a note anywhere about that, but that's been fixed in 10.6.5. It now has the animation again for validating audio units, so you know something's going on. You don't sit there and say, well, I got a frozen screen. Greetings from Greenland. What season is it in Greenland right now? I don't even know. Is it winter? Is it spring? I have no idea. Coco says, hello from Los Angeles, California. How you doing? It's an honor, and I'm on Ventura too. So how many of, well, first off, I'm on a MacBook Pro, 4 terabyte SSD, and I have a dual partition. One partition is Ventura, which I'm on now. The other partition is Monterey, which I have to rebuild because I messed up yesterday. And Ventura overwrote my Monterey partition, and that's completely on me. I never should have walked away from the computer when I was updating. It's summer in California for sure. Well, summer's year-round in California, right? Minus 12 in Greenland. Minus 12. It is 65 degrees Fahrenheit here on the east coast of the good old USA. So in Greenland, I guess you have a nice warm abode to live in over there. I guess that's what's happening. So we're going to talk about one of the things, I do this presentation for you, the listeners, for you to make comments, for you to get things, if you have a comment to make about Final Cut Pro 10.6.5 or the Final Cut whatever, or post-production, this is for you to make comments. Not only did other people that's watching, they can watch this live, but the Final Cut Pro team also watches this. Is that official? No, it's not official, but I know they do. Hello from Valencia, Spain. How are you doing? Hello from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Bruce Babcock, greetings from California. Bruce says, cool, you're doing a doc on the summit. I have a very specific reason for doing a documentary on the summit. So the summit was so I'm covering 4 years, 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019. I was there all 4 years, and I have 20 hours of video, maybe 25 hours of video. And so far, I've got some of that into a little bit less than 40-minute documentary that I'm going to put out. It's going to be free. I'm going to put it on YouTube. I'm not going to put it on Facebook. I'll put the link from YouTube on Facebook. But during those 16 years, number one, I did my very first live stream at the 2016 Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. In those days, it was Facebook Live, and it had a 720 by 720 square video, no matter what you fed it. That's what Facebook Live was. So it started in 2016. I had my very first live stream there, and I interviewed a lot of people over the years. A lot of people. It's a lot of behind the scenes kind of things. It's in the lobby of the Juniper Hotel. It's the expo. It's all the things that happened over those 4 years. Number one is for people that were there, and number two is for people who couldn't make it. They get to see exactly what was going on. That should be out beginning of November. Should be out beginning of November. Alberta, Canada. Go Oilers. Is that your football team, I guess? Torgrim, 4 terabyte MacBook Pro Max, updated through the winter night, only -5 here in Finland. There you go. I only made it to 2019 Summit, but with lots of fun, hoping the new Roadshow is just as fun. So the Roadshow is more of a training vehicle. It's one day of training. It's not the same as the other previous 2016, 17, 18, and 19 because those summits were people, Final Cut Pro editors from all around the world all came together in one location in California, Cupertino, by the Final Cut Pro Summit, by the Final Cut Pro team headquarters, One Infinite Loop. So all the people from around the world, Australia, Japan, England, Germany, United States, of course, Canada, they all came together for 4 days in one location. The new summit is exactly the opposite of that. They're going, spreading out to 10 different cities around the world. For 1 day, it's for training specifically, but you're not going to have all those Final Cut Pro personalities converge at each one of these events that the summit is now. You're not going to have that. You'll have a couple of people. But when you see the documentary I'm putting out, you'll get a better idea, if you've never been there, as what the summit was actually like. I got a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. I interviewed a lot of people. So starting with 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, those are the 4 years I'm covering. But that'll be out shortly. Oh, he says it was hockey team. Okay, there you go. That makes more sense. Hockey. There you go. So we're going to go over some stuff today. First off, I've seen some comments about Final Cut Pro 10.6.5 online, and I'm going to post a few of those that have been made, will be made that were public. So here's a comment. Their site says the Apple team will be there, but I don't see any Apple-specific talks on the schedule. Any insight to that? The Apple team, they said it's going to be in LA, but it's once again, it's only 1 day. When we were at the summit, we went to Apple campus, number one, took a bus trip to Apple campus. We went to Apple Park Visitor Center, took a bus trip there. We went to Apple, see their presentation at Apple campus, and then the team came and talked to all the Final Cut Pro personalities on a Saturday for the last 2 or 3 years. Private session that I can't talk about. Then that's not going to happen. This is, if the team is going to be there, it's going to be more casual. It's not the same as the 2016 through 2019 summit. It's still valuable. Number one, it's $125. And for the $125, you get a whole day of training, and you get a voucher for the Final Cut Pro certification exam, which by itself is $149. So very valuable. It's just not, it's not the same. It is not the same as prior summits. But anyway, when that comes out, that's going to be out shortly. Well, a couple weeks, week or so. I've almost got it done. And then that's not, like I said, I have 20 hours of footage, maybe more, interviews and stuff. I'm not going to put everything into one 37 minutes. I'm going to do this one, and then we'll see what happens next year, and we'll go from there. So let's go on to this. So this was updating. This is updating, validating audio units that I initially said it was stuck at that screen. It wasn't actually stuck. It just, the animation wasn't there. All right. So let's turn that one off. So here's what's new. Supports faster exporting of H.264 HEVC on Macs with Apple Silicon. That's cool. Increases stability when disconnecting a sidecar display on Intel Macs. Improves performance editing on a Mac with ambient light sensor. Nothing about updating the animation, the audio unit animation. Final Cut Pro is very conservative when it gets what's new in a lot of these things. Not like Logic that lists everything. If they added a comma somewhere in the text, they would say, oh, we added a comma here on page 47. So let's do this. So here's something. Look at the date on this, September the 18th. September the 18th, I asked about Final Cut Pro 10.6.5. And then I followed up. Let me turn that off. I followed up on September the 27th and said 10.6.5. So those are 2 times that I talked about Final Cut Pro 10.6.5 a month ago. So it came out a month later, but I was expecting 10.6.5, as you can see in those tweets. So let's go back to graphics here. Here's some of the comments on Twitter. This is public on Twitter. Wish Final Cut Pro gets sold off to a company that cares to update it more than once a year. I'm not saying I agree with these comments. I'm just going to put a few of the comments up. I'm just saying these are some of the comments. Well, that's me. That's my comment. Here's another comment. That's that one. Yawn. Eric Emmerich says, yawn for 10.6.5. Is this even qualifies for an update? Well, it is an update. It's not a feature update, but it is an update. Here's another one. Again, no major update. Final Cut Pro is falling behind. Disappointing. Okay? So, listen, 10.6.5 was an update for Ventura. Ventura came out. A couple hours later, 10.6.5 came out. So this is not the feature update that we're expecting with 10.7. I expect when the M2 Macs are introduced, there's going to be a footnote that says, tested on a pre-released future version of Final Cut Pro, or something like that. They've done that in the past. Tested on an unreleased or future version of Final Cut Pro. That's going to be 10.7. That is going to be Final Cut Pro 10.7 that they're testing the new M2 Macs on. I'm pretty sure that's going to be happening. Anybody from the Video Creator University here? You mean in this live stream? I don't know. Probably. There's another update. Fixes an issue adding images from the Photos browser to a new project. Exactly. Sell Final Cut Pro to Blackmagic? No, I don't want to see that. Blackmagic is doing fine on their own. We want stability and reliability, not flashy, shiny new looks. Well, we want, listen, stability, reliability is the bottom line for any update. That's not a feature update. That's like saying I want a car that drives forward when I put it in drive. That's automatic. Stability and performance. That's not a feature. We have many features that we're asking for in Final Cut Pro. Editors have been asking for. Dupe detection. How long did it take them to get dupe detection? 11 years. It came out March, right before the 11th birthday. 11 years to get dupe detection. There's lots of features that we need. What's in 10.7? No idea. I have no idea. Yeah, how did that Video Creator University go? Never heard much about it. I don't know. But that wasn't a Final Cut Pro centric. It kind of morphed into more Final Cut Pro as it went along, but it wasn't Final Cut Pro centric. So when you see the documentary I got coming out, the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit documentary, it's a short documentary. It's 35 to 40 minutes. You'll see what the Creative Summit was like in 2016 through 2019. It's not the same as it is now. It's different, even though they're using the same name. It's not the same. You're not going to have people from all around the world coming together for 4 days at the same location talking Final Cut Pro in sessions and going out to dinner together. You're going to have 1 day of training. I think Steve Martin's going to be in Austin, Texas, training there. I don't know who's going to be in LA. They're probably pulling from local Final Cut Pro people when they do one of these sessions. It's $125. It's very valuable. You get a voucher for a Final Cut Pro exam. Don says, I updated this 10.6.5, but not Ventura. I have a few clips, about 5 out of 8,000, that will not transcode to proxy on M1 Mac Studio. That's interesting. What would Randy Ubelos do? What would he do about what? He's been out of the picture for quite a while. Since I worked with Brad, I helped Brad edit the Final Cut Pro documentary Off the Tracks, and he was interviewed for that, but he'd been out of the picture for years before that documentary came out. So what do you think about 10.6.5? Would you rather not have it? If you're complaining about it, would you say, I don't want it? Don't give us small updates like that? Here's one of the things that's interesting. That's the third bug fix in the last 4 or 5 months. 10.6.1, sorry. Actually, 10.6.1 was a bug fix. 10.6.2 had features. It had deep detection, and it had the other feature about, I forget what it was. Oh, it had the voice isolation, which is great. So 10.6.2 had features. That was back in March, right before NAB, which is the one I expected to come out. 10.6.1 was a bug fix. 10.6.3 was a bug fix. 10.6.4 was a bug fix. 10.6.5 is a bug fix. Whatever, performance. But the last 3, June, August, and October, were all bug fixes. It's very unusual to see that many bug fixes one after the other. So 10.6.5 was an update for Ventura. Basically, what's what it was. Even though it affects Final Cut Pro on 10.6.4, etc., it was a bug fix timed to be released with Ventura. Now, I am pleasantly surprised at how good Ventura is working for me. I am very, very surprised. I tested Beta 7, Ventura Beta 7, just to get the cinematic video from my iPhone 14 Pro Max with Ventura. Speaking of the iPhone, let me see if I have this. Do I have this available? Let me see if I have this available. Let me go preview mode, phone. Yeah, I do. Okay. Let me do this. This is one of the coolest features about the new version of Ventura. Let me just do this. So this is very cool feature. Let me just can I see that? Yeah, there we go. This is my iPhone taking a picture of my screen wirelessly with, what do they call it? Continuity camera, something like that. This is so cool. A very, very cool feature of Ventura. Very, very cool feature of Ventura. I really, really like it. So that was this camera taking a picture of my screen. So that's just one of the things that I like about Ventura. There's other things that are absolutely... I'm surprised at how it's, for me, other people have had issues, it's stable. Almost everything is working. There might be one or the United Audio plugins are not working in Final Cut or Logic, but I don't use them. Well, I actually haven't launched Logic yet. I have not used them in Final Cut. I don't use those plugins in Final Cut, and I use them in Logic sometimes. But the deal is that they run on their own hardware. That's the deal. UA plugins run on their own hardware, which is not dependent on any Mac OS. So I'm actually running them in my U Audio device, even though it's on Ventura, plugged into a Ventura machine, the plugins are working. Let me see if I can just show you that real quick. Let me do this over here. Weird. So bizarre. I'm just checking. Oh, there it is. There we go. So I can show you this. Let me show you this. Where is that? Here we go. This is my United Audio plugins working, but even though it's plugged in to a Ventura Mac, these plugins are running on its own hardware. I have a hardware unit, an Apollo Twin X. These plugins are working because they're running on the Apollo Twin X. They're not running inside of macOS Ventura. Even though the Apollo Twin X is plugged into my MacBook Pro, which is running Ventura, the AU plugins that would not, they didn't load in Final Cut Pro because they have to be updated. They do work with the Apollo Twin X so far. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be forever. I mean, it could work fine, and then maybe it's not going to work fine. We always wait about 6 to 10 months before performing OS upgrades. Are we losing anything staying on Monterey? Well, there's a couple things that, first off, don't just upgrade to Ventura. I do a dual boot system. If nothing else, get a separate SSD connected via USB-C, Thunderbolt, put Ventura on that, and then you can choose that to boot into. Don't erase Monterey like I did by mistake. I had to reinstall Monterey instead of reinstalling Ventura, so I did it backwards. That's my fault because I walked away from the computer when I was downloading Ventura. So now all my settings and plugins and apps are on Ventura. Look, they're working. I'm amazed at how things are working so well. Torgrim says he loves voice isolation. It is amazing, and it was a sneak feature. Nobody was requesting that. And the Final Cut Pro team gave us voice isolation, which is phenomenal. What about 10.6.5 in cinematic mode, the iPhone issue? You talked about that in previous video. Thanks. So I haven't tested it on this version of Ventura, but I'm sure it works. I tested it on the Ventura Beta 7 and it worked. Absolutely worked. So that's one of the things that was requiring. I'm sure it works. In Ventura. It was weird because when I first saw that problem, I'm thinking, is there an update to Final Cut Pro that has to happen? Is there an iOS update that has to happen? No, the operating system had to be up. It only works with this version of the operating system. It's very strange. That's bizarre. That you sell iPhones and the videos don't work in the current operating system, the cinematic mode. It only works in a future operating system because the phones came out in September. Ventura was not out then, only the beta, which I tested it on, and it did work. So, very bizarre. Very bizarre. Something's not quite coordinated there between the Final Cut Pro team and the OS teams or something. So normally I don't update my OS for 6 months or 8 months later on my main machine. But in this case, I did it by accident, but I have a dual boot. My 4 terabyte SSD has both Ventura, which I'm on right now, and Monterey, which I can switch to when I start up. So what do you think about 10.6.5? Have you tried it so far? I've tried it so far. I'm editing the documentary about the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. I don't know. Ventura, the timeline seems much more responsive and much snappier. The whole interface seems snappier to me. And that was 10.6.4 and 10.6.5. It was just on Ventura. It seemed much snappier. I can just go through the timeline without any hiccups, without any, stalling. So let me see what I have there. Oh, yeah, I got that on there. So what do you think? What does everybody, any other comments about it? Ventura is, for me, it's good, but I don't recommend updating to Ventura. What I recommend is dual booting, make a complete backup of your Monterey Mac OS before you, in case there's any hiccups, before you update. I have a 4 terabyte SSD in my MacBook Pro, so I put both of them on there in different volumes, not partitions anymore, they're volumes, and they can expand and contract dynamically depending on what you have in each one. And I can copy clips from the Ventura volume and put them over in the Monterey volume and vice versa. I can do that. So that helps a lot as far as updating plugins and apps that I forgot about. Listen, when I do any new OS install, I need one password because all my passwords are on there. I got to download that, log into that. There's a whole bunch of things. Copy, paste. I need that because I use that all the time. I need Ecamm Live up and running. I need this audio interface, audio interface up and running. There's a lot of things. What else do I have? Dropbox. I don't use it as much as I used to. I think I even quit. I'm on the free version right now. If you want to experience installing, no matter the version, just put a denoise plugin on your footage. Denoise, you mean video denoise? You mean video denoise? Or you don't mean that third-party plugin, do you? That's on them. That's not on Final Cut Pro, if that's what you're talking about. I use, as a matter of fact, they just updated it. I use, what is it called? It is called, Topaz Video AI. It was just updated to version 3 just now, which is a free update outside of Final Cut. It's a fantastic application. It not only denoises your video, if it comes in, low light or whatever, it also will upscale your video up to 4K at the same time. It does a great job. There's a dozen different algorithms you can choose from. You can do test samples to see which one you want to use. It's a great application, but it's not cheap. It's $200 or $300. I got it on sale last December, so I get this update free because it's less than a year. Ventura will be my base OS on my new MacBook Pro. I keep my 2013 on Monterey. Have not tried third-party plugins yet. Holding my breath, absolutely. So Tyler says, yes, the built-in denoise. Okay, the built-in denoise and plug is almost, that's interesting. Please report that to the Final Cut Pro team. I inserted a video clip, cannot play the clip back without dropping a million frames. Okay, that's good to know. These are the things you want to report to the Final Cut Pro team, right? Yes, you do. So you're going to report that to the Final Cut Pro team. Where do you find that information? Right here. Go to fcpx.tv, and right here is a link. Send your request, bug reports, feedback to the Final Cut Pro team. There's the link. Click on that. It takes you right to the page. Right to the page. Right from FCPX. It's easy to remember, fcpx.tv. You don't got to remember the whole URL. It's right there, fcpx.tv. Look what I have here. Countdown to Final Cut Pro 10.7. So I put this out last week. I talked about 10.7, Final Cut Pro. At this point, I'm thinking it could be out in November, or it could come out in January, December, January, but I think we'll see a pre-release version, or they'll say a future version of Final Cut Pro when they release the M2 Max. So here we go. Final Cut Pro 10.5, November the 12th, along with the first Apple Silicon M1 Max. Final Cut Pro 10.6, October the 18th, 2021, along with the M2, M1 Pro and M1 Max 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro. Final Cut Pro 10.7, November, along with the M2 Max, whatever. That's my guess. I think we will at least see reference to, quote-unquote, a new version of Final Cut Pro or an unreleased version of Final Cut Pro at least in the footnotes, when they released the new M2 Max. That's when Final Cut Pro is going to first rear its head. Final Cut Pro 10.7. Could it be out in November? Certainly could. It most certainly could. Like I said, 10.6.5 yesterday was timed to be released with Monterey. It has to do with how Monterey worked with Final Cut Pro. 10.6.5, 10.6.5 is a Monterey Final Cut Pro update. It's not only Monterey, but it was time to be released with Monterey. Your countdowns are funny. What has been the longest countdown? So 10.5, it was over a year before it came out. I was expecting 10.5 at the 2019 Creative Summit because they released 10.3 at the Summit. They released 10.4 the following year at the Summit, then released 10.4.4, another big feature update at the Summit. That was 2016, 2017, and 2018. I was expecting 10.5 at the 2019 Summit. Zero. We got zilch new Final Cut Pro stuff at the Creative Summit, 2019 Creative Summit. We got nothing new. Zero. It came out in 2020. That was the longest one. And they are meant to be tongue-in-cheek with the sense of humor. That's what it is. Am I reporting the facts like Huntley and Brinkley about the Vietnam War? No. I'm just having a conversation about Final Cut Pro. Right now, people are watching from all around the world. What else is going on? Where else can you go and talk about Final Cut Pro in a live situation? Right here. Right here. As a matter of fact, there's where you subscribe over there at YouTube, Richard Taylor TV, also on Twitter. Also, I'm on Twitch TV. I'm broadcasting live to Twitch TV, but I don't think I have many followers there. I only broadcast Final Cut Pro stuff, and I'm not a gamer. Seems like some release of Final Cut Pro is due before the Global Summit, but they didn't release Final Cut Pro for the 2019 Summit. They did not release it for the 2019 Summit. So the Summit this year is divided up into 10, going 10 different dates, 10 different places. It's not the same as it was before. Before, it was a major event. It was a true summit. This year, it's a one-day training, which is worth $125. You get a full day of training, plus you get, as a matter of fact, let's go over there to their website. I think it's now free. The summits are now free. The individual 10 summits are now free if you are a teacher or a student. They just announced that recently. So they're actually free to attend. I don't know if that includes the key to the exam, though. I don't know. Maybe. Denoiser in Final Cut Pro is very good, but has been very heavy on resources. Apply that and render that. All denoiser plugins I've tried are the same, resource heavy. The one I use, Topaz, it takes about 3 to 4 times real time to go through the process. But this also upscales. Topaz also upscales. You can take standard def footage, upscale it 200%. It looks much better. It denoises. It has a dozen different algorithms you can try. You can try them out before you commit to it. It also upscales the video. So I am going to the LA Summit and just noticed the number of speakers seems to have dwindled. I don't think they're speakers. I think they're instructors. I think they're teaching classes. When the Final Cut Pro documentary comes out, a week or so, I'll put it at the beginning of November. I'm still, fine-tuning it. You'll see what the summit was in 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019. It's not the same summit that's out now. This is a different summit. This is a spread-out summit, one day, full day of training. It's only $125. Well worth it. You get to take the Final Cut Pro certification exam. You get a voucher for that as well. It's now free for students and teachers, if that's what they said. So it's not the same. So we had lots of speakers in the previous summits. Lots of speakers, 3 to 4 days of speakers. We had speakers presenting cases. We talked to the Final Cut Pro team in person. We went to see the presentation at Cupertino. We went to Apple Park Gift Center. We never got to the actual spaceship campus, but we were supposed to for 2 years and never got there. Got canceled at the last minute. My biggest problem with my 16-inch MacBook Pro is that Apple doesn't make a leather sleeve. Why? Are the cows too small? I don't think they're too small. Torgrim says he's going to London, to the London Final Cut Pro event in Europe. That'll be fine. I'm sure there'll be some London personalities there, but you won't have everybody that we had at the previous summits. There were 3 or 4 dozen Final Cut Pro personalities there for 4 days. As a matter of fact, 2017, I think, John Cleese, the actor, was there. He was in our hotel. He wasn't there for Final Cut. A few weeks ago, there were more thumbnails of instructors than there are now. Okay, there you go. Okay, that's interesting to know. Yeah, the instructors, there's classes are going to be, Jeff Greenberg's going to be there. The couple of FMC people are going to be there. But it's going to be a one-day event with some people. You get to meet other Final Cut Pro editors. You get training, absolutely. But it's not the big summit that we had for the last 4 years in the past. It's not that. When my documentary comes out, you'll see. It'll be out within, like I said, what is this? 25th, maybe in a week or two. It'll be out before Thanksgiving for sure in the U.S. It'll be about the Final Cut Pro from 2016 to 2019, 4 years. I interview people. You'll see behind the scenes. I go through the expo. I go through some of the presentations. Not the presentations. I go through, you'll see. It'll be out shortly. A week or so. It's almost done. I could put it out now, but I'm going to wait. What do you think about 10.6.5? People that were complaining about it, I understand the frustration of the way the Final Cut Pro team puts out updates. I understand that over the years. Built-in denoiser has problems with our real-time process, but the quality of the result is very good. There you go. Topaz video is great for reusing legacy material. Absolutely it is, especially the IA upscale feature. Real Magic, I could create SD masters from old. I have back on the shelf, you can just see them over here on the left hand, right down there. I have trays of mini DV tapes that I've been digitizing, and that's all standard def. And I don't upscale it to 1080, I upscale it 200%. So it's still the same aspect ratio, but it's much, much better. It looks fantastic. So using it for legacy footage is one of the reasons. But also, as I'm doing this documentary, I filmed some of the time with GH4, some of the time with the GH5, and the last two, 2019 was only the iPhone. 2019 was only my iPhone 12 Pro Max, I think it was. So when I'm looking at the footage, I can see the GH5 footage is better than my iPhone. Sometimes the iPhone, in low light, it gets noisy in the dark, in the black sections. This clears it up. It clears it up. So if I have a clip, so one of the things I'd like Final Cut Pro to do, Logic has this feature called Bounce in Place, where it'll take an audio clip and whatever effects you have, whatever adjustments you've made, it'll actually bounce, take that section and bounce it and put it right in place. I wish Final Cut Pro did that as well. I'm not talking about rendering. That's a different ball game. I'm talking about I make a selection in the timeline and you have something called whatever. Export that clip and bring it back in and put it back in that exact space. And I can also go back to the original version if I want to make an adjustment. But I'd rather have that clip right there One of the things people have complained about is rendering disappears between startups of Final Cut Pro. A lot of times you render things and it's gone. If you bounced a video clip and put it in place in the timeline, that would not be an issue. Because now I do that now. I set an in and out point, render it, take it into Topaz, clean it up, or upscale it, or both, and I bring it back into Final Cut Pro and put it where the old clip was. Or I disable the old clip, put the new improved clip underneath of it. So I can always go back to the new one, to the old one if I wanted to make changes. I wish Final Cut Pro did that automatically. Bounce in place logic calls it. I'm not sure what Final Cut would call it. So the documentary I'm working on about the Creative Summit, there's probably 20 to 30 people, Final Cut Pro personalities you're going to know. I interviewed a lot of them, but when I'm interviewing people, if you see me at the summit or anywhere else Final Cut Pro related, come up and talk to me. We'll put you in the next version of the documentary. But first off, I have enough footage to do a second version of this. Plenty of footage. I'm not including everything. I'm just including some of the things that catch my eye for this first documentary. Like I said, right now it's at 37 minutes. It might get up to 40. It'll be out, but it's very entertaining. Lots of interviews with people, mostly behind the scenes kind of things, visiting the Apple Park, being on the bus, going to Apple campus. As a matter of fact, I'm not putting this in a video, but I have a video of 2016, we went to Apple campus to see the Final Cut Pro presentation. That's when he introduced. 2016 was, they released Final Cut Pro 10.3 the day before at the Apple event. And so it was right within 24 hours of the Creative Summit, they released 10.3. 2017, they released 10.4 right around the Creative Summit. They didn't release it. They previewed it. It came out, I think, in December. 2018, they released Final Cut Pro 10.4.4 at the Creative Summit. 2019, nothing. We got nothing for 2019. Nothing new. I was expecting 10.5. It didn't happen. Okay, there you go. So, but anyway, here's the thing. 10.6.4, 10.6.5, people are saying, well, there's no features, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but I talked about 10.6.5 a month ago. I was expecting a bug fix before 10.7. So there could be even a 10.6.6 bug fix. I'm sure they're concentrating their features on 10.7, whatever that is. Can 10.7 be a big update? Absolutely could be. I hope it's bigger than 10.5 and 10.6 because they were like stinkers. They were just very small updates. And listen, do not tell me about, oh, they had to get ready for Apple Silicon. Oh, they had to get ready for Metal 2, machine, whatever. That's fine, but everybody has to do that. All the app developers have to do that, not just Final Cut. You should automatically do that. You should automatically give us good performance. You should automatically give us, more stability. That's automatic. That's the baseline. That's way down here. It's important, and everybody wants it, but it's not features. We want some features, like we got in 10.6.2, voice isolation, dupe detection. Who was expecting that in 10.6.2? I was expecting something before NAB, and that's when we got it, I think in March, a couple weeks before NAB. By the way, I'll be going to NAB. I'm planning on going back to NAB again this year, especially if there's any Final Cut Pro related news. I was there last time. I reported live from my hotel room. I reported live, some from the show floor. Once again, I did a lot of filming. I've been filming the NABs for the last 4 years. I got a lot of behind-the-scenes footage, including interviews with people. Interesting, I interviewed Filmic Pro, I think it was in 2018, the guys from Filmic Pro. So I have a relationship with them, even though they're now charging a subscription, which I will not support. $50 a year is way, way too much for that that product. There's a half a dozen other pro cam apps that are out there. Doesn't mean I'm still not have a professional relationship with them. I certainly could, but I don't agree with the way they sold out to Bending Spoons. They sold out the same way Frame.io sold out to Adobe. They sold out to them. That's the reality. They sold out to them. Is Adobe Final Cut Pro friendly? No, they're not. Does Frame.io have to do what Adobe tells them to do? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So, regardless of that, I'm still friends with Patrick Southern over there at Frame.io. I haven't talked to Michael Cioni for a long time, but I presume I'm still friends with him. I don't have to agree with what they've done. Not they, what Frame.io did, sold out to Adobe. I don't have to agree with that. I can still be friends with people and not agree with that. So what else do we have? Let me see. Let me go back on my list. Let me just check. We got that. Let me go over to TweetDeck. I'm going over to Twitter real quick. Where am I? There I am. Just going over to Twitter real quick. All right, we got viewers over there on Twitter as well, but most people are watching on YouTube. Let me see what's going on in Final Cut Pro. I mean, in the Facebook groups. Lots of people watching from both. Are we getting any comments from? Yeah, we are getting comments from Facebook. Good. We're getting it from YouTube for sure, but I wanted to make sure we're getting them from Facebook as well. Once again, over there on YouTube, Richard Taylor TV. That's also all my social media is Richard Taylor TV. Instagram, Twitch TV, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. They're all Richard Taylor TV. But I don't want you to, if you go to Facebook, I don't accept friend requests from people that I don't know. Let me see what else I have here. Oh, 16.1, iOS 16.1 came out. There was a problem with external microphones when iOS first came out. It's been fixed in 16.1. The apps now will recognize your audio interface plugged in via Lightning or let me just put this up. Here's one that you may or may not know about. This is a little tip. When you delete your preferences, Final Cut Pro automatically dumps the Video App Diagnostics Final Cut 2022 with the date on it on your desktop. These are all your previous preferences. System log, system profile, window layouts, preferences. These are the ones that you just deleted. It automatically dumps these on your desktop. So if you ever did a system reboot or preference clearing, you wanted your preferences back, there they are. Right there. So that's one. Let me just take that off. Here's another tip for everybody. So what I've done, look at these colors in my timeline. What are those colors? In Logic, I can select a group of clips, lasso them, color them all one color. So if I'm doing Final Cut Pro Radio, one speaker is green, one speaker is blue, one speaker is yellow, and I can instantly look at my timeline and see what section belongs to who. Can't do that in Final Cut Pro. I can't select the clips and color code them. Not yet. I hope that'd be in a future update, but it's not there yet. So what I've done here, is this the documentary? No, this is another documentary I did about a local animal rescue. They're having a fundraiser right now to the end of the month. So what I did was I got a custom generator, color generator, inserted it, changed the color, copied here, changed the color, changed the color, changed the color in the inspector. I changed the color in each one of these. So I can look at my timeline and say there's a division, physical division each time that I want it. But notice over in the index, the Final Cut Pro timeline index, no colors. The inspector updates, the timeline updates, but the timeline index does not update. Everything is the same color. Everything's the same color. Yes, I know I can put a colored emoji in there. I know that. I've been doing that for 3 years or 4 years. People use emojis for the color. They use emojis for the color. They don't use emojis for an emoji because if all the emojis were gray, you wouldn't be using them. They're using it because of the lack of color in Final Cut Pro. The inability for me to select a clip, color it, a project, color it, a keyword collection and color it, and I can visually see all those colors in the browser and they'd be reflected in the timeline. One of the good things, so LumaFusion does that. You can color code clips and projects. DaVinci Resolve does that. Both of them do that. One of the cool things about color coding clips and things in Final Cut, in both both LumaFusion and DaVinci Resolve, you can sort by the color. So any clips that I lasso and color red, or projects or folders in the browser, I can search for the name red, and all those clips will be sorted under the red search. Or I can color code clips blue, projects, folders, and I search for use blue, and everything that's color-coded blue comes up in the search field. It'd be a fantastic feature to have in Final Cut. An additional layer of favoriting. Favoriting now is one layer. Favoriting, yes. Favoriting, no. So the color, we're visuals. We're visual editors. We edit visually. Colors are very visual. We don't have colors. Everything's gray. So people started using bananas, yellow, apples, red, apples, green, checkmark X, green. They're not using the emojis. They're using the color of the emojis to visually identify things. That's what I did in that one graph. That's what I did in the one graph. That's what I did here. I can look at this immediately and see exactly the division in the timeline, red, yellow, blue, green. It divides it up into different sections for me. Now, this is a work in progress. Obviously, I won't leave it there. When I export, I'll delete all those, and then everything comes together. I'll check where it connects and go from there. So what does everybody think? Are you excited for the M2 Max coming out? Are you excited for the M2 Max? I am. I'm looking forward to it. Scott says, I would like multiple levels of favoriting. It would help when going through long interviews, lots of B-roll like in documentary. Yes. But if you could color code, it would be the same thing. If you could color code clips green and use that for favorites 2, favorites 3, favorites 4, color code them green, blue, yellow, red, have each category as your favorites. You could select a range, favorite it. Color code it, just the range. It'd be very helpful if that was there. We're visuals. We look at colors. That's why they're using emojis. They're using emojis because of the color, not because of the banana. If the banana was gray and the apple was gray, nobody would be using that. Check marks, yes. X's, yes, I understand. But it's the color that you look at, the color. So Final Cut Pro team, add some colors back in. What else do we have? I think we're just about getting ready to resolve today's episode of Final Cut TV. And like I said, people were commenting. Let's go back to Twitter and see if there's anything going on over there at Twitter. I don't know if there is or not. That's where a lot of activity goes on there. I get a kick out of people. Well, here's another comment over there at Twitter. Once again, I'm not putting these up there because I agree with them. I'm just going to put them up there because I want to put them up there. Here we go. Let me turn that one off. And we'll take this one up. Here's another comment. Resolve came blasting out of the gate to an iPad like Taylor Swift dropped. The Final Cut Pro update was like getting a bonus track. Getting a bonus track on a Yoko Ono album. Now you have to admit that is funny. Okay? You have to admit that is funny. So we just got a comment, and I'm going to delete you from the channel because I have no idea what that says. Do not come into the Facebook to the YouTube chat in another language. Okay? That's not going to work. I have no idea what it says. If you do English, that would be fine. But if you come in another language, I'm just going to delete you because I'm going to suppose you're saying something that shouldn't be said. There you go. What do you think? Final Cut Pro 10.6.5. Nobody else did any live streams about this. Have the ability. This is for you guys and gals. This is for all you. Come on here and talk. The Final Cut Pro team listens. We know that for a fact. We get a phone call every once in a while from somebody named Tim over there at Apple. I can't say who it is. I'm not allowed to say it. That is funny. Thanks, Richard. It is funny. It's very funny. I get the biggest kick out of that. Final Cut Pro update was like getting a bonus track on Yoko Ono album. Very funny. Pal2Tech over there on Twitter. I'm not saying I agree with it, but it's a very, very funny tweet. Okay? It's funny. I like humor. From what I understand, statistically, 1/3 of the people don't have a sense of humor. So 33% of the people don't have a sense of humor. I've seen it on social media all the time. They take themselves or something too serious. Don't. There's humor. Humor is a very, very good lubricant for social interactions and stuff. A lot of things I say tongue in cheek or whatever. So, but anyway, these live streams are doing well. We're gaining followers and stuff. I don't make any money off of these. I do them because of my passion for Final Cut Pro, and I love the ability to live stream, as we saw earlier, around the globe. Greenland. Somebody from Greenland was watching. This is like having a TV station in your house. Besides the equipment and the training and the plugins and stuff that I use. More than 1/3 don't have humor, unfortunately. Well, it could be more, but I've seen statistics that said 1/3 of the people don't have a sense of humor, and I've seen that in real life. I'll post something. I posted a picture of a electric vehicle with a generator, a gas generator on the back of the vehicle going down the road. Now I'm thinking, okay, that's funny. That is funny. I posted it just for the picture, and somebody got upset with that and said, well, you shouldn't be whatever they said. I said, I posted it because it's funny. That's all. Hello, nice. I'm from Brazil. Absolutely, Alexander. I'm glad you tuned in. We have, in the documentary that I'm doing, the Final Cut Pro Summit documentary, we have a podcaster from Brazil in there. I don't want to name drop, but you got Brad Olson, you got Steve Martin, you got Mark Spencer, you have Philip Hodgetts, you have myself, you have, who else do we have? Michael Matzdorf is in the documentary. Greg Clark is in the documentary, the guy that writes all the lumberjack stuff. Serena Catania, one of my personal friends. These are all my friends. I interview people. Ben Broadbeck is there. Ian Anderson's there. Lee Herbert's there in the documentary. Dozens and dozens of Final Cut Pro personalities are in this documentary. So I'll let you know more. You're my special audience because you come around to these live streams and we interact. And like I said, the Final Cut Pro team watches this. That's not official from them. That's just me talking. They watch it. First off, we appreciate all that the Final Cut Pro team does. We appreciate everything that you do for Final Cut Pro editors. We get frustrated sometimes. The updates don't come enough. And that's fine. Be professional with your comments, or like that one comment about the Yoko Ono album track. That's very funny. That was a funny one. I like that. One of the things about fun about Summit is that it makes all those YouTube folks real people. Yes. Yeah, of course. Real people. We had iJustine came to, I think it was 2018. Any chance of Randy Ubelos? No. Randy Ubelos in the Summit documentary? No, he's never been to a Creative Summit. He's never been. I met him as a matter of fact, I met him at LACPUG event in California. They have their events when Brad Olson debuted Off the Tracks. Randy Ubelos was there, and I met him there. Absolutely. So I'm expecting 10.7, Final Cut Pro 10.7, at least a mention of a future version of Final Cut alongside the M2 Max, especially the M2 Mac Pro. We haven't even seen that. There's been no preview of the Mac Pro yet. Every other Mac Pro that came out, everyone, going back 10 or 15 years, they were all previewed. Every single one was previewed at WWDC the year that they came out. So the G5 Mac Pro, the original Cheese Grater Mac Pro, the 2019 Mac Pro, they were all previewed at WWDC and came out later that year. Well, in 2022, there was no preview of a Mac Pro. So are we going to see a preview in November or December? Maybe. I don't know when it's going to come out. I was surprised when people were saying it's going to come out in 2022. It seems like it's a 2023 update. But a preview of it would be nice. A preview would be very cool. If they're previewing the Mac Pro, preview or show us Final Cut Pro 10.7 at the same time. I don't know what the new 16-inch, 14-inch Mac M2 MacBook Pros are going to be like. How much of an increase in performance with those, I don't know. It's going to have more than just a 10% speed bump, or I won't get it. I'll keep my current one. One of the things about my current one is I can run Monterey on it for the next year or so. What features do you think 10.7 update will most likely bring to Final Cut Pro in the near future? Love these streams, by the way. Thank you, Robert Cole Productions. Thank you very much. I have that article up. Let's go over a couple of those. So I have this article up, Final Cut Pro 10.7 in November, the question mark, we'll see. Here's the tested version I did, Cinematic Mode in Final Cut Pro, macOS Ventura Beta 7. Here it is working in Ventura. I have not, repeat, tested it on this public release. I'm sure it's working. I'm sure it's working. Here's where this new Final Cut Pro update, this is talking about 10.7, require Ventura for some new features. That's the question. Answer, yes, although I expect Final Cut Pro 10.7 will also work with macOS Monterey for most new features. I think some of the features are going to be specific. This is a perfect example of one that's specific to Monterey, working with cinematic footage from the iOS 16. This is specific to Monterey. You have to have Monterey in order to edit iOS 16 cinematic footage shot on your iPhone. You have to have Monterey. This is just one example. It absolutely. 10.7, I expect we'll have more of those. So Monterey is out. This is the question all the time. What about Final Cut Pro and the new M2 iPad Pro? That question has been asked every year. We could see Final Cut Lite for the iPad at some point. It could be 2022 or 2023. In the meantime, edit on your new M2 iPad Pro with LumaFusion, number one, absolutely, or use DaVinci Resolve for iPad, which is coming out. They're going to have a free version. Blackmagic, kudos to Blackmagic. They are a fantastic company that really listens to their users. They're putting out a free version of DaVinci Resolve on the iPad. If you want the Pro version, I think it's $99. Or the Studio version, it's $99. So you got the free version. Try it out. See if you like it. I'm not going to be editing on an iPad. If I'm going to edit on an iPad, I'm going to use LumaFusion. For the most part, I'm sticking to my MacBook Pro and my big setup, as I showed you earlier. Thanks for your nice contribution. I'm always learning and improving in film and documentary. December is coming, and my new Apple Silicon Mac. I'm glad. Thanks. Absolutely. So if the M2 MacBook Pro is a 20 or 25% improvement over the M1 Max, I'll probably get it. I'll trade this one in and get the new one. I like having it, the most current version if it's possible. But I might, if it's not that much, I might keep this one and just get the Mac Pro, the M2 Mac Pro, whatever that is. But I'd like to see a preview of that. I think we'll see that shortly. We haven't even seen a preview yet. They've previewed every other one. So one of the things about Apple, are they predictable? No. They are not predictable. You can't, they do whatever Final Cut Pro team, this and that and this and that. 3 bug fixes in a row is not a prediction. That's not what's normal. Usually it's bug fix, feature update, bug fix, feature update. Unless there's a serious issue. Sometimes there's 2 bug fixes and a feature update. This time, 3 bug fixes in a row. But I'm telling you, 10.6.5 is for Ventura. Is that official? No, it's not official. Coming from me. All right, everyone, what do you think? Any more comments before we get out of here? We got 30 people watching right now for live, which is a nice little crowd. These videos typically get hundreds, 400, 500, 600 views. Some of them get up a little higher between Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, because we're on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch TV. I think I got 2 people on Twitch TV to watch. Somebody actually contacted me and said they learned stuff about Final Cut Pro on my Twitch TV live stream. So whatever. Doesn't cost me any more to stream to it. I put it up there today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If there's nothing else to talk about, what do you think? Let me see if I have anything else. Oh, I know what I was going to do. I forgot. Somebody was talking about the features in 10.7. So here's what I said. 10.5 and 10.6 were small full number updates compared to previous generation full number updates, 10.1 through 10.4. They were very, very small feature updates. Usually when it goes to a full number, it has a lot more features. So here's a few features I like to see in 10.7. Pro audio features, audio mixer with master volume control, AU plugin inserts, keyframe recording, ensemble rolls, submixes, blah, blah, blah. So a mixer, absolutely. Here's one, project improvements. 11 years and you can't scrub a project in the browser? After 11 years, you can't, all you get is a single thumbnail, it's not scrubbable? You can scrub clips in the browser, you can scrub compound clips in the browser, you can scrub multicam clips in the browser, but you cannot scrub a project in the browser. You can scrub a project in the share menu. When you go to share, the dialog comes up and there's a little thumbnail. You can scrub the project there, but you can't scrub it in the browser. After 11 years, that's amazing to me. So I'd like to see scrubbable projects in the browser. How about this one? Compound clips expand for editing in place in the timeline. Absolutely. And here we go. Color coding with sort by color for video clips, audio clips, events, projects, storylines, selections, roles, duplicate ranges, etc. More colors. Look at Final Cut Pro's muted, crunchy California colors versus Logic Pro's colors. Now, Logic Pro's colors is still a selective range of colors. It doesn't have every color in the rainbow, but it looks a lot better than these. Why do you have colors if they're not bright and you can't see them? You have muted ones down here if you want to use them. If you like the muted ones, are down here, but you also have bright ones. A much bigger selection from the Logic team than these earthy, crunchy, dull colors of Final Cut Pro. You can't even, there's this one and this one looks alike to me. They look similar. This one looks similar. So I'd like to see more colors. Right-click on a library and choose Close Other Libraries. Like to see that. Also, drop down. Also, choose a storage location by right-clicking on a library in the browser. Here's one. Drag a customized effects from the inspector to a clip or select the clips in the timeline or event browser. Just drag it from here and drag it down and place it on a clip. Can't do that. Individually drag adjustable timeline lane heights and thin lane dividers. Instead of them all being up and, going up and down, same height. Individual. Some of them I want smaller, some of them I want larger. Draggable timeline markers, extend markers, move markers via timecode, export marker lists with notes and custom multicolored markers. Timeline, master timeline overview navigation track. See this here? This represents the entire timeline. This is LumaFusion on an iPad. This represents the entire timeline. Timeline's down here. This is an overview of the entire timeline. I'd like to see that in Final Cut Pro. Have a master timeline that's always there. You can select things, you can zoom in and out on it on the main timeline, but the master timeline's always there. Do you know how big the Final Cut Pro team program is? I don't know how big it is, but it's got to be, I doubt if it's over 100. It's probably a few dozen, 2 or 3 dozen, 3 dozen, 4 dozen. It's my guess. Stability, reliability, and release notes are not empty words. For example, object tracking improved from his release till today. Apple never talked about it in that update. It's not empty words, but it should be there in every update. You should always have stability and reliability. That's the bottom line. It's not empty words. Of course it's not empty words. It should always be there. That should be a top priority for any update to Final Cut Pro. Okay. Ability to save the way clips are sorted. I'm not sure what you mean. When synchronizing clips, ability to save the destination event. Okay, those are good ideas. Absolutely good ideas. This is, once again, this is for the viewers. I do these live streams for the viewers. I'd like for you to come in and comment. The Final Cut Pro team watches this. Other Final Cut Pro influencers watch this. This live stream is for you guys and gals. All righty. I think we're good for today. What do you think? 25, 30 people watching live. That's very, very cool. I appreciate you all coming out. Once again, here you go. Richard Taylor TV over there at YouTube. Go over there, subscribe. Also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Instagram, I don't post hardly anything. I post I get up in the morning, I feed the cats, I make coffee, and I go out for a 2-mile jog every morning. So on Instagram, I always pass this one gas station on my walk. And so I always, if the gas price changes, I post a picture of a little video, a 10-second video of the new gas price. I traced it going up, and now it's coming down. Now it's going back up again. I just post those videos. Once in a while, I'll post a video of something else. Also, is there an issue with synchronizing clips that I heard about, that they don't synchronize in batches? What about batch exporting of clips? What about batch exporting of clips, where you can select a bunch of clips on the timeline and batch export individual clips with handles option? How about that? You know, they're not full clips, they're in and out points, and you add handles. Select a bunch of them on your timeline, export the individual clips. Not the full clip, just the individual clips. Compacting a library with taking out unused media, compacting it into a new library. Clips with handles. I want handles on all those clips. But getting rid of excess footage that you're not using. If I have an hour-long clip, thank you, Richard. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you very much for stopping by. If I have an hour-long clip and I'm using a couple of 10 or 30-second clips out of it, I'd love to be able to get rid of the extra material in a new library. I'd want to make a new library, save the old one with the full version, make a new library with just the compacted clips with handles, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, whatever you want. All right, so I'm thinking that we're going to see Final Cut Pro 10.7, at least a preview or some kind of an announcement, November. Alongside, I'd be very surprised if there's not a new version of Final Cut Pro, at least talked about, with the M2 Max. The M2 Max, they've got to be coming out in November, right? Maybe next Tuesday, the following Tuesday. The M2 MacBook Pros, the M2 Mac Mini, maybe an M2 iMac. The M2 Mac Pro, I don't know. I'm thinking they might preview it, but it's probably coming out in 2023. Even though this is the end of the 2-year cycle that Tim Cook talked about at WWDC in 2020. He said, we're going to transition all the Intel Macs over to Apple Silicon in 2 years. Well, the first one came out in 2020. Second one's came out since then. I'm not sure if the Mac Pro, I'd be pleasantly surprised if the Mac Pro indeed came out this year. Maybe they'll show it and say it's going to be out late December, early 2023. That wouldn't surprise me. Or it's just coming out in 2023. That would not surprise me. But if they're going to show the Mac Pro, you best believe they're going to show Final Cut Pro 10.7 with it. There's no better app to show off the MacBook Pro than Final Cut Pro. Or the Mac Pro than Final Cut. Better exchange with Adobe Premiere. I don't use Adobe Premiere. I don't like Adobe's ransom subscription model, where if you stop paying their monthly ransom, your app stops working. The version that you've been using for 5 years on your computer, if you don't pay their monthly ransom, that version that you've had for 5 years and been editing on stops working. It isn't like you just don't get updates, so I don't support the Adobe ransom model. I understand people need it. Lots of people use Premiere. I understand that. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I think I have dinner waiting. And thanks each and every one of you for stopping by today. And don't forget, go over there and subscribe. There it is. Everything's backwards. Richard Taylor TV over there at YouTube. Subscribe, ring the bell, all that notifications, all that stuff. I'm going to get out of here. Me too. The real question is, how pro will the Mac Pro, the M-chip series, grade all differences between Macs? Look at the 2019 Mac Pro. Apple admitted they made a mistake with the trash can. They admitted, they had a public admission they made a mistake. The 2019, I have one. It's a fantastic machine. So if they do an M2 version of that, it's going to be killer. It's going to be a killer machine. I don't know if I spent $9,500 on the 2019 that I have. 2019, 3 years ago. I don't think I'd spend that kind of money on a Mac Pro again. I don't need the horsepower. Maybe. Have to see. But I very likely will get a new M2 MacBook Pro. This one's been my main machine for a while. All right, everyone. I think I'm going to get out of here. No more comments. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. It's been another very, very cool live stream. I appreciate each and every one of you. Final Cut Pro 10.6.5 is coming out. It has been released. I expect Final Cut Pro 10.7 to be at least previewed or, pre-release version announced in November, maybe in December. But I expect it to be previewed with the new Mac Pro, maybe with this new M1, M2 Mac Pro, MacBook Pros, M2 Mini, maybe a new M2 iMac. We don't know what's going on. All right, everyone. Thank you very much.